Good morning, my good people. How are you doing this fine, beautiful day? I have a question for you. Have you ever said to your child, "Unataka maji?" And then they replied, "I want water." Or maybe greet them, "Habari za asubuhi?" And they answer, "Good morning." You know that they really understand Swahili, but they actually won't speak it. Now, if that is happening in your home, I want you to know something. You are not failing as a parent. Nah, you are not failing as a parent. And your child is not rejecting your language. No, that is not what is happening. In fact, it is one of the most common experiences for bilingual families all over the world. That is what most of the parents are facing. Don't think that it is your fault that they are failing at it. No, that is what most of them experience. If you've had time to interact with one or two of them, you'd realize that this is a common thing that is happening to them as well. So today we are going to talk about why it happens. Why does it happen? You know, what research says about it, and most importantly, what you can start doing so that you can help them and they can start speaking Swahili without even forcing them. You know, bribing them without even forcing them, bribing them, or turning a conversation into a battle. Yeah. So that is what we are going to do today. And I believe that we are going to find an angle that we will, uh, you know, help our kids. So by the end of this stream, you are going to walk away with simple strategies. Yeah. You can use during, breakfast, mostly family time when you get together as a family. Uh-huh. And breakfast time, in the car when you are going maybe somewhere or taking them to school in the morning, and then you also have, bedtime, and throughout your daily routine that you have with your kids, to make Swahili to be a natural part of your family life. Now, before we begin, I want to hear from you. I want to hear from you bilingual parents, and also maybe educators who are in this live stream. Tell me where you are watching us from. How old are your children? Please, you can type on the comment section and I will be reading through as we interact during this live stream. Where are you watching us from? And then, how old are your children? And here is today's question. Does your child understand Swahili but answer in English? Mhm. So you can type it on the comment section. Let me see how many parents are here and they are facing the same problem. Now, type yes if that is your experience. And let's see how many families are going through the same thing, because I promise you that you are not alone. You'll find that you have other families who are also facing the same issue. Now, sit with me from the beginning to the end, because we are going to discuss very important things that are going to help us in one way or another, because I promise you these are things that have been, researched and proven that they really work. So let's begin our live stream. Now, these are two worlds, one home. Remember, it is raising bilingual children. So you have two worlds, you know, but it is in one household. Now, to raise how to raise bilingual children and pass down your heritage language without, daily battle. I know this is a dream of many parents, and today we are going to see how we can make that happen. Yeah? Now, you speak to your child in Swahili and they answer you in English. If this happens at home, remember you are not alone. And in United States, more than 20% of children use English beside use a language beside English at home. That is one thing you should know. But that many parents assume child answering in English means they are rejecting their heritage language. No, 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 no. They are not rejecting it. In reality, it is completely normal, you know, normal for part of bilingual development. So if you speak to them in Swahili and they answer you in English, don't think that you are failing as a parent. No. This is part of, a bilingual development. To change this pattern, we have to understand science behind how children brain, We need to understand how a child's brain processes language. We need to know how do they process all this. Yeah. Now, let us look at this, the science behind multilingualism. We have the fear, we have reality, and something that has been proven that it works. You know. Now, let us look at this. Most of the parents have fear that, if we introduce another language, it is going to cause speech delay. Yeah. But in reality, we see milestones remain very identical in different children. Uh-huh. Now, bilingual babies, they'll giggle, smile, and babble at the exact same rate. Fast words still arrive around, let's talk about maybe 12 months. Two words, phrases around 24 months. Let's say we can say those are like uh, hmm, 2 years. So 2 years. Oh yeah. So they aren't learning, enough words. Now this is a fear of another parent. A parent who has been teaching them Swahili, but now she thinks to herself, they are not learning enough words so that they can speak. But let me tell you, the total vocabulary matches their peers. So a bilingual 2-year-old child might have a total vocabulary in English, 25, and then 25 words in Swahili. That will mean, a total of 50 words, Matching a single language to a child's is 50 words. So, no, it's not that they are not learning enough words, they are. And then other parents think that if I introduce this to my another language to my child, I am going to confuse them. That is not the case. You are not confusing your child. You know, mixing language is a temporary bridge. You know, when we combine grammar or words in a sentence, it is normal development phase. By the age of 3, children naturally are able now to separate these languages based on who is speaking to them. That is for sure. That when they are 3, they'll be in a position of separating these languages because they're now able. Sorry about that. They're now able to understand that this is Swahili and this is English. But that will depend who is talking to them. Now, let us look at now what the brain. Trying to look at this. Um, Children do not answer in English because they dislike Swahili. Most of the parents will think like, oh, my child does not love Kiswahili, that's why he or she is responding in English only. No, 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 no. That is not the case. Yeah. So they answer in English because the brain is wired for cognitive, efficiency. Now, let me tell you how it works. Now, look at this, and also let us look at the diagram that we have here. So, wide highway is, the English one. I hope you can see it. The wide highway, one that is in blue, this is the English one. Now let us look at this. Constantly reinforced. English is constantly reinforced by school, friends, and cartoons. That's why we see that it is the dominant environmental language. Okay, so it requires zero effort for the brain to use. Are we seeing that, the science behind it, or how the brain chooses to use a language? Now, look at this. Mhm. English is reinforced in school by friends and cartoons or whatever that they watch at home. That's why we say that English will definitely dominate the environment language. And then here now speaking in English will not require you to use, a lot of efforts. Nana, it is zero efforts. Now let us look at the other small, the winding path that is Swahili. You know, Swahili is often restricted to specific context. Maybe it is restricted to a specific context like, homework. And then a parent is here giving them corrections that, nah, that word is not say like this, or you should say like this, or just one parent, So restricted to homework, it also involves a lot of correction, and then it is maybe one parent, not maybe actually, it is one parent who speaks it, So it requires more cognitive load to access because they are not experienced. It is not constantly reinforced. So the goal that we have here, it is we do not need to block the English highway. No, don't do that. So what we just need it is to plant a flower along the Swahili path so that they want to walk down it. Isn't that beautiful? That we shall not block the English highway, but what we need to do it is to plant a flower along the Swahili path so that these kids would really, really want to walk down it. Isn't that amazing? Okay, so if you are watching this live stream, please tell me this is true. If you agree with what I'm saying, please type in the comment section that you agree with this statement that has been stated here. Okay. Now, now understanding always comes before speaking. Alright. Okay. Now, I want us to look at this experiment. When I was preparing for this, I thought that this is very, very well put. Now, many children possess, a vast passive vocabulary long before they even, develop what we call an active vocabulary. Now, let us look at this drawing here. So we have, this is the input that we have here. And then now, let us see here. So, uh, we are trying to fill the reservoir, listening, and now the reservoir has, listening, observing, and absorbing. Okay, so listening, observing, and then actually absorbing it. So when your child follows a Swahili instruction, follows a Swahili instruction, but replies in English, their reservoir is actively filling. Okay, so the reservoir is actually actively filling in. Okay, now let us see. This is now active speaking. Yeah, so this is now the output. Remember, we have the input and then now we have the output. So This is the overflow. The output is the overflow. So, producing the language, the reservoir is passive understanding must fill up. It has to be filled up, completely before it actually overflows, into an active speech. Do we see how that happens? Now, what does this mean? It means that patience is actually required here. You know, we parents, educators, we really need patience here because speaking naturally develops after what you have, an extensive pressure free listening. Your child reservoir will be filled, and then when it starts overflowing, this is when now we have what you call the active speech. So let us practice patience as we continue teaching them, and in the long run, they are going to start speaking. Isn't that beautiful? Okay, now I want us to look at the difference between the traditional teaching and versus the language ecosystem. You know so now we're going to look at both of them at the same time. So the goal here is absolute perfect, in the traditional now let us look at this. So the goal, absolute perfection and correct grammar, and then we have the other one, which is meaningful connections and communication. That is the goal that we have. Now, what methods are being used here? Worksheet, scheduled lesson, and drilling. And then we have another one here, lived experience storytelling as well as play. Mhm. Now, the reaction to errors, constant, and immediate correction. We have constant and immediate correction. And then on the other hand, we have natural modeling and celebrating the attempts that your child makes. And then lastly, let us look at the results. Now, in this first one, we find that we have a lot of resistance, anxiety, and a child who claims the language is actually very boring. That is sad because as language educators, we wouldn't like, for children to say that the language is boring. That's why we try as much as we can to make it very, very interesting. And that's why we say planting flowers along the path, of Swahili so that these kids can literally want to walk down the path. Mm. So in this other side, we have, the results. It is confidence, curiosity, and a child, who feels safe to practice. So parent, which which one are you using at home? Are you using the traditional teaching or you're embracing the language ecosystem? What are you using? Type on the comment section, tell us what you're using, and then let's see what is happening with you. Let's see and evaluate why they're still not speaking even after them learning for 1 to 2 years. Yeah. Okay. Now, you ask a question in Swahili and they answer it in English. Now, this one we talked about it when we were beginning. And, unataka maji? Do you want water? Okay, that is just the translation. And then the child says water. Now, let us look at the mistake that you make as a parent that is making them not to, embrace the language very fast and maybe continue speaking with you. So, now, the mistake that is there is switching to English. Of course, you have asked your child, unataka maji? And then the child says water. What do you do as a parent? You say, okay, here is your water. Now, what will be the result? The child learns that English is the ultimate default. Are you seeing this? You've asked your child, do you want water? And then they say water. And then you as a parent will say, okay, here is your water. Do you know what will happen in your child's brain? The child learns that, or the child thinks that English is the ultimate default, So making the heritage language to feel, optional and unnecessary. We wouldn't want that for sure. If we're really trying to do this to teach our child, please let us not, continue, or let us not switch to English each time that our children continue talking to us in English. Now, let us look at the other path too, which is the fix. What you need to do if you experience this and you tend to now to switch to English, this is what you are supposed to do. So this is the fix, which is the natural modeling. So we have parents, continues you should continue speaking in Swahili naturally. You say ndio, unataka maji? Haya ni maji yako. Ndio, unataka maji? Haya ni maji yako. Yes, you want water? Here is your water. Now, what will be the result? Now, you validate their communication without breaking the bilingual ecosystem. You provide, the correct model without even criticizing them. Okay, you just continue making them feel safe in the language that they are speaking. And then they are going to be curious and want to learn more. But please, let us stop switching to English immediately that they, you know, they speak English to you. Make sure that we have maintained the language so that we see how it goes. And I believe this one will really, really help you. Try this and tell me how it will work. Mhm. Now, consistency beats intensity. Parents often abandon heritage language because they believe it actually requires a lot of dedicated time or hours of teaching every single day. Let me tell you something. You don't need an hour. Nah, you don't need an hour. You only need, 5 to 10 intentional minutes, woven into your existing routine, to make what you call a permanent difference. That is what you need to do. Yeah. You don't need the hours to learn or the hours to teach. You only need, 5 to 10 intentional minutes, you know, which is woven now into your existing routine. And this, let me tell you, if it's going to make what we call a permanent difference. Okay. Now here, the secret to language retention isn't long study session. No, it is a high frequency micro exposure scattered through the child's natural environment. Now, this is it. Instead of having, all these 60 minutes, a sit down of 60 minutes, no. Have what you call a daily micro exposure of, of, the child's time throughout the day so that they can, it can be consistent and, you know, very frequent. That's what you need, not the 60 minutes sit down. Okay, let us look at what we have, the daily language playbook. This is a seamless, embed Swahili. This is how you seamlessly embed Swahili into, your routine. Yeah. And I believe most of us are already doing it. You just embed Swahili into your daily routine. How do you do that? When you wake up in the morning, practice, what you call greetings. Vocabulary such as habari za asubuhi, umelalaje? Aha, umelalaje? Utakula nini? Mhm. Let's now move to the next one. Now, when you are taking them to school, in the morning, in the car ride, mm, maybe you can count cars on your way to school. And definitely, of course, they are counting them in Swahili. Uh-huh. Name the colors of those cars or colors of the things that you see out there in Swahili. Uh-huh. And then sing a heritage song with your kids in the car while you are going to school. Make this as a daily routine, and let me tell you, it's going to stick and they are going to make it as a routine and eventually it's going to bear fruits. Now, another thing, cooking dinner. Yeah. So you can name the ingredients and give simple instructions. For example, hii ni nyanya, katakata nyanya, kata kitunguu, kaanga kitunguu. Uh-huh. Now, and as well, the vocabularies that you're going to learn, chakula, maji, sukari, chumvi, kata, pika. I mean, there is a lot to do and to learn during that time. And then, bath and bedtime. The routine that should be there it is, you can identify body parts, you know, when you are taking a bath. Read one page of a Swahili story. Thing is that you could say a prayer in Swahili and then review only 3 words from what you have learned that particular day. Tell me, if you do that, do you think it's going to be the same again? No. Children will retain it because it is part of your routine. They are going to start understanding and speaking with a lot of confidence. Do you already have this routine at home? How is it working for you? Is it the best method that you have used so far and you see that there is a big difference? Please type in the comment section. I'd want to know how it is, how you are doing with this method at home. Because this one is proven and tested. I'd want to know, is it true? Mhm. Now, bringing the language to life, yeah. So, language is actually meant to be lived parents and educators, not just, studied. Knowing words is never enough. Children need constant context and joy. So, just learning a language, you know, what I meant to say is language is just meant to be lived, not just studied. You knowing in some words and some vocabularies is actually never enough. You need the context as well as joy. Now, how are you going to do this? We have gamify the input. What do we need to do as parents and educators? We need to gamify the input, play physical games that require, listening. They need to listen. You remember when we were feeling the reservoir, what you said, that they would listen, they will, observe, and then they'll actually absorb. Okay, so gamify these inputs, play games that actually require them to listen. For example, we have Simon Says, I spy with my little eyes, and then we have a scavenger hunt. You know this one will act as a natural bridge of passive understanding and engage what you call active engagement. Please fill their reservoirs, and then they are going to be very active. They're going to give active speech or active engagement. Another one is sing and tell stories. Children remember narratives better than better than word list songs, rapidly improve what you call pronunciation, confidence. I think that is what it was meant to say, confidence, as well as memory. Memory. So make sure that you incorporate singing and storytelling in your teaching, because we see that they understand it better, because if the story was very interactive, definitely they're going to continue speaking about it for days before they forget about it, or before they are introduced to another one. Uh-huh. So we also have shared media. So watch Swahili cartoons together and discuss what happens afterwards. Build a shared, cultural reference point. You can watch something together with your kid, and then after it's done, you can now ask them, ni nini kiliendelea kwenye cartoon hii, ama ni mambo gani wanazungumzia. Okay, make sure that you have, shared cultural, you know, reference point. Aha. Ni neno gani unaweza kukumbuka? Aha, maybe mention so and so alifanya nini, you know. See whether they were following. Okay, and then one that is the last one, that is the most important one, is celebrate small wins. Make sure that you celebrate them instead of pointing out grammatical errors. Say, "I love that you are trying." Eh? Confidence is the full. Yani, confidence is the fuel to for fluency. So if you keep, correcting them every minute, they are not going to be confident in speaking, because they are going to think to themselves, what if I speak and I say something wrong? Is she still going to scold me and correct me very fast? Okay, so celebrate the small wins that they are making. Make sure that they know that you are celebrating them. And with that, they are going to be anxious and curious to want to learn more, because they know that they are being celebrated. Okay, now the mixed language. I'm not saying the other part. Now let us look at this. This is a very common challenge that is faced by many bilingual parents who are in diaspora. So a common challenge in diaspora is when one parent speaks the heritage language. Yeah, one parent is the only one who's speaking the heritage language. Success actually relies on alignment, not even equal fluency. Just alignment, not equal fluency. Now let us look at this diagram. So this one is the fluent parent. So constantly uses Swahili during specific anchored routines. For example, we have exclusively speaking Swahili during bath time, car rides, cooking dinner, and all that. And then we also have the other parent, supportive parent, supports the ecosystem by learning using simple everyday phrases. Also this other parent is also trying to learn. So now, what will be the impact? Children do not need both parents to actually speak perfectly, or to you perfectly fluent. No, they just need to see both parents actively valuing and respecting the language. So for bilingual, for parents who are in diaspora, if one parent is actually speaking in Swahili, and the one parent is a fluent Swahili speakers, and the other parent should actually be very supportive parent, and also him or her should try to learn. And out of this, the impact that it is going to create is that also children would also want to be part of it. They would also want to learn, and because they are saying that all their parents are actually, they are actively taking part in this language learning, and they respect the language. That is the only thing they need. And with that, we see that it is, easy for these children to also become curious and want to learn. Okay. Now, parents and teachers, Language is more than just words, you know. So when we fixate our